So far, everything we've seen from Zoey Stark on the main roster on Monday Night Raw versus Becky Lynch by WWE Hall of Famers Trish Stratus' side, everything we've seen from her up until this point screams potential. It screams that we are about to have at the very least, an upper mid-card performer in the women's division, at least on Monday Night Raw, whenever this partnership between Stratus and Stark goes sour. But again, from what we've seen so far, because her in-ring work has always been on point ever since she was in NXT, and it obviously followed up on Monday Night Raw. She still has to work on her promos a little bit. She needs to get the timing right, the pacing right, but eventually, with enough practice, with enough time, with enough mentoring, not necessarily by Trish Stratus, might just be an on-screen partnership, but again, with enough work, she'll get to where she needs to be. But my concern when it comes to this partnership is upon WWE's creative. Because this is not the first time that they've tried to partner someone up, give someone the rub by having them align themselves with a name talent. And one of the most prominent cases that comes to light, at least in my mind, was 6-7 years ago, Raw 2017, somewhere along those lines, where Charlotte Flair was the Raw Women's Champion at the time, and she had her protege in Dana Brooke. And all you have to do is look at Dana Brooke's current career, where she stands, to know that didn't work out. And again, 6-7 years ago, Dana Brooke showed that potential. She had the look, she had the ability in the ring for her experience at the time. But again, she didn't improve enough to the point that they could warrant a push for her. Now with Zoey Stark, again, she's shown a lot better things that Dana Brooke did in the past. In-ring wise, she's been able to hang in there with the man, with Becky Lynch, one-on-one. So just based on that, I feel like Zoey Stark needs to be protected in the coming weeks. And again, SummerSlam is this Saturday. It's this weekend. Will Zoey Stark play a big role during their match, during the third match between Trish Stratus and Becky Lynch? Of course, she has to. She's been a part of the story up until this point. My interest is what's going to happen after SummerSlam. Because Becky Lynch, the man, needs to win this feud. She needs to win this rivalry. And for all intents and purposes, Becky Lynch needs to go and challenge the current Women's World Champion, Rhea Ripley, because that is what the fans want to see. And frankly, the Women's World Championship, it deserves a prominent feud, a prominent rivalry, specifically for Rhea Ripley, who unfortunately WWE Creative has had nothing for since WrestleMania, which is an injustice. With that said, after SummerSlam, don't turn Zoey Stark into a babyface. You can't. It's too soon. You can't have her flip-flop back and forth. She came into the main roster as a heel. She confirmed she was a heel once she aligned herself with Trish Stratus at Night of Champions. Keep on that route. Tell the story of how Zoey Stark was so disappointed by Trish Stratus losing to Becky Lynch at SummerSlam, losing to the man, that now, well, she's going to take matters into her own hands. She's going to go solo, and the first thing she's going to do is she's going to take out the Hall of Famer, the multi-time Women's Champion in Trish Stratus, and that can elevate Zoey Stark into a position, if they go down that route, and hopefully, finally, we could have Zoey Stark and Trish Stratus wrestling career once and for all. Again, careers have to end. That's just the athletic aspect of this business. So if that happens, if they take that route, Zoey Stark is very well positioned for a potential women's world title match down the line against the babyface Becky Lynch, against the babyface The Man later down the line at Payback, maybe at Survivor Series. Who knows? But Zoey Stark is primed for a very top tier position in the Raw Women's division, and WWE Creative needs to take the right steps to achieve it, to give her her due so far. Again, this is just on what we've seen so far in the past few months. It might change. It might be all a smokescreen once, we take off Trish Stratus away from her. We take her away from this feud. But again, I'm just interested in, you've invested so much into Zoey Stark up until this point. Really try to make the absolute best moves to keep her momentum going and actually give her a chance to fully establish herself in the women's division on WWE's main roster. But with that said, those are my thoughts on Zoey Stark. Those are my thoughts on this fantastic feud between Stratus, Becky Lynch, Zoey Stark. They did a fantastic job at making their matches, making their promos, everything leading up into SummerSlam into a compelling program. So with that said, leave your thoughts, comments, and predictions in the comment section below. Tune in later on tonight to the USA Network for another episode of Monday Night Raw. I'm Alexis Carrillo, this has been Wrestling Talk, and I'll see you next time.